maybe more of
It's
Instagram.
okay. We are live on
Great.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook group, Facebook page. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday again. Oh, I love this Tuesday afternoon. It's a little easy going time for us. We sort of relax and take a minute to just exchange and catch up. Right? Isn't it time for us to catch up once again, Ute?
Yes, it is. It is. Tuesday is the moment where we do this. So it's great. Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone. Hello.
Hello. How's the weather? How's the weather over there?
Here it's raining. How's it over there?
Okay. It was raining like for days on end until a few days ago, and then it's been sunny, but with like pretty low temperatures at night. Like it's still like 2-3 degrees at night, but during the day it goes up to like 20. Like today it's like 20, 22. So it's a big gap between the morning and the middle of the night and during the peak during the day.
Yes.
And that gives us that doesn't allow us to bring out the flowers and the plants which have been staying over inside for the whole winter. Like we're really looking at the temperatures every day. We don't want it to go down below like 5 degrees Celsius. Or else they freeze. And
yes. Every time that you talk about temperatures, I have to think, which ones are they now? Is this now Celsius, or are you thinking about the others? Because 20 degrees Celsius, it's nice.
During the day, it's nice.
Good.
It's enough for us to be outside in short sleeves and work. It gets pretty hot too, because the sun here is pretty like strong. Okay. My wife used to tell me it's hotter in Asia, like Taiwan or Japan, in terms of temperature, but the sun here burns more. I don't know, maybe.
Whatever. We're happy. Yeah, when we were talking about time, or let's say the weather, I was thinking of. Did you watch the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yes. In fact, I bought that video today, this morning, as a used DVD shop.
I love that. I watched
There's two of them, There's the follow-up.
Okay. So I have to watch the follow-up. We read the book and then we watched the
There's a book?
Yes, there's a book. It's really nice. It's like a comic book, comic novel, or however you want to define it.
Yeah. Oh, so shout out to everybody joining on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, even Twitter. So,
Twitter.
How's everybody doing? I do see my good friend Maria. Hello, Maria. How you doing? I was telling Ute about my good friend Maria from California, and then I'm thinking to myself, is she still in California? Maybe not. You can let us know. Maria was my classmate from my MBA program that I was taking in Japan in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, she was like the baby of the class. I thought she came in directly from high school, but no. She already had her degree from Yale and everything. She was like the whiz kid.
No. Hi, Maria. Nice to meet you this way. So she's asking something, right?
Yes.
Hello, Tetsu and Ute. Do you think that immersion schools are more effective at teaching languages than nannies or au pairs?
Ooh, wow. Big topic already. Okay. Yes. So she has more follow-ups, so maybe we can put up this follow-up comment to sort of give us a little more context. So son has a Brazilian nanny who speaks Portuguese. But he tends to respond in English. We're thinking of switching to Spanish or German immersion. Okay, well, what's the purpose? Did you want him to speak Spanish or Portuguese?
Portuguese.
Or German?
Or German.
What's first of all, target language definition is important here.
Yes, and also the age of the child. I think, yeah, maybe with younger children. Now, it's my experience or what I see with younger children having nannies and babysitters. It can help a little bit more because it's really child centered. It's one-on-one situations that you have, and you can give more language per session if you wish to think about that. Whereas in immersion classes, usually there are a few children more. I mean, it depends on what kind of immersion class it is. It can be maybe between 5 to 10, 15 children. And then you have less one-on-one time. You have more exercises or activities among peers. That can also be very effective, but it always depends on the age of the child, what the goal is, and yes, how much.
It's like 2,
Yeah.
3, somewhere around there, I think. So for those of you watching on Instagram, just to recap of just the context, we got a question from Maria on YouTube, and so she has a son, a very young son, and she's asking us whether immersion schools are better or nannies / babysitters. Hey, your input is also important. If you'd like to comment, that would be great too. And so she tells us he's 2.5, so 2.5 years old. So it's fair.
2.5.
And so a little bit more comment. Background here. So they live in California. He speaks Bisaya, Filipino language, and then in addition to English. So English, Bisaya, and then he also now has Brazilian Portuguese and for some reason German.
And Spanish. They want to thinking of switching to Spanish or German.
So why Spanish and Portuguese
and German?
Okay, well here's the context. My husband speaks German and has lived there, and we also are thinking of moving there. See, that's great. That's very relevant. And my parents live with us, and speaks the Bisaya, and that's beautiful. That's great use of resources. Spanish, of course, is spoken throughout California. Okay, so there's quite a bunch of languages in Maria's life, or in her plans for the kid. So Portuguese, Spanish, German, and of course the community language is English, and then with the heritage language is Bisaya. So that's 5 languages. And her question is very specific. Should we go immersion? Should we go nanny? Now, with that many languages, I'm thinking you should just do both. Certain languages that you'll let them learn at school, and certain languages that you'll have a nanny at home. Or else I don't know how you cover all these languages. Depending on the level that you're looking for each of these languages.
Yes, and also how are these classes set up? Sometimes immersion classes for very young children can be that they cannot be, let's say, focused on one thing for longer than maybe 10 minutes or so. And then I saw many parents who try to enroll their children in that kind of classes, and then they said, no, it's not working because the child was walking around or going somewhere else. It depends if it's an activity class, if it's a class that is full immersion in terms of being immersed into a monolingual setting for the target language, doing activities that are age appropriate and not sitting down and staying from. It pretty much depends on what kind of immersion class it is and how the child also responds to it. I know that
my thoughts. From a language perspective, I think it would depend more on the educator, him or herself,
what they are doing,
or the nanny. And then from there on, is what are you looking for? There's costs, right? Which one is more? There's also putting a child in the social context. I think it has its benefits rather than just at home. These are all aspects that I would think about in this decision.
And also that was one of my next questions. Is it the only child, or is there another child, maybe a younger sibling or cousins maybe close by that live in the neighborhood So to have peers who speak that other language as well, that can also be an option. But if she says that she's planning, or they are planning to move to a German-speaking country, and they want to introduce German smoothly, so that the child then, when they move, and will already know a little bit of German, that always helps. It helps smoothen the transition and make it much easier for the child, and maybe also for the parents.
Okay, so she tells us the son is the only child for now, and his cousins live far away.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. So right now, at least for Bisaya, I think the heritage language is only through grandparents. German input possible from dad. Now, does that mean dad actually does speak with
German?
In German, or is it a mix of German and English, or is it mostly English with a little bit of German when he feels like it? But these are all things that I think would come into play. With this many languages, if you're really serious about each of them developing to a good high level, you obviously have to consider your resources, your time, and what your expectations are for each of the languages. Now, if I were you, but I'm not you, if Daddy has strong enough German to speak to the child, mostly, if not exclusively, in German, that would give it a boost, and you could take that out of the equation right away. And then Spanish and Portuguese, right? What was the reason for Portuguese again? I forget. I know.
They have a Brazilian nanny. Maybe it's because they had a nanny, and it was
okay. So Portuguese came with the nanny rather than the nanny coming for the language, like we do. We bring in an au pair specifically for Spanish. So yeah,
would be an option. Yeah, but I wonder, is the father speaking German already with the son? Is it the primary language that he's speaking with the son, or not? Because the son is still quite young to have two parent or one parent transmitting two languages if there is not a need for it, or let's say a situation that clearly makes it necessary for the child to use the language. Like you go out and the community speaks German, then it makes sense for the child. They can understand this. Otherwise, if it's a not natural situation and you say, oh, let's just switch to German, it doesn't make sense for such a young child. But I mean, every child is different, and I don't know your child, so I'm just assuming. I'm just putting out things to think about.
Look at her next comments. So my son is a Brazilian citizen and a German citizen.
Can you share that comment on screen? Yes, as Brazilian citizen and a German citizen. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he's born in Brazil, and the other parent.
One of the questions that we had is whether he spoke German a lot to the child, but apparently not. He mostly talks to them in English. So in the child's mind, Daddy's language is English, and when he speaks German, it's a special occasion. German is not a communication language, but just some form of separate language that he has to, quote unquote, learn. So yeah, in that case, first things first, you need to determine which languages in which order of priority, or at least how much weight you want to put into each, and that's how I would really think about this problem and your objectives for each language. Do you want like native level, near native, advanced level, just survival level, like depending on when you're going to Germany, right? If it's a plan in 2 years, is it a plan in 10 years?
Yeah, but even then, if they would plan now, I don't know, in 3-4 months, you can prepare a little bit, and then the rest will be done by full immersion when you're there. So it depends also on where you're going. Is there a school or is there a community that can help to make learning or acquiring German easier for all of you, or for you and for your son. So there are many questions or many aspects to consider at that point. But that's a great question. Thank you very much, Maria.
Yeah.
You got us started.
The question was very specific.
Yes.
But I think we were able to pull out more context.
There's always a lot of context, right?
More complex than
you open one little thing and then
we peel that onion.
Yes. There are many layers, and then you go back and forth, and then you. But,
so thank you, Maria, for the question. I don't know if you have any follow-ups that you'd like to know, because it's one of remember in our MBA courses that answer we always hated. It depends.
It depends.
And because of that, we need to pull out more context and information.
But it's true, yeah. It's not as easy as it seems, that you say, okay, follow this kind of direction or this method, and you will be fine for the rest of life. No, it's not going to work that way. So that's actually what makes it also so interesting and so fascinating.
Everything's always deeper than we think. That's why with my kids, whatever they do, I always try to push them a little bit so that they find out the next level and keep them pushing that way, and then they realize, wow, just to do this thing was much more complicated, much more difficult, I guess, than he had expected. And that sort of builds an expectation in everything that they do in life. So that's why I let them do many things, do lots of challenges, so that they could hit a wall, fail, overcome that obstacle, hit a wall again, overcome that obstacle. That repetition is important, because kids are naturally inclined to say, "Oh, I'm not good at this, so I'm not going to do it." I always try to find out if they like it. First, do you like it? Do you want to do it? If you want to do it, then let's break down the steps. Let's break it down into manageable
actionable steps. Yes.
Yeah, my son, I'm really excited about this. I bought this this training tool, hockey training tool.
I saw it. Yes, it's
amazing the progress that he's made over the past few weeks. I bought this tool. You're basically, it's a 5-part training tool where there's like lights that light up randomly, and you have to handle a ball and go through under the sensor, and then within 45 seconds you have to know, you get to know how many times you hit the target. He started off like at 15 or 17 or something like that, and I wrote out a whole schedule for end of July. He's aiming for 75.
How many is he now?
Insane. He just hit 62 yesterday.
Oh my, yeah.
At the beginning, it's relatively easy. He hits a target every day or every other day. So I wrote out each hit. At first it's every 2 days you need to hit a target. Every 2 days, and then it becomes every 3 days, then it becomes every 4 days. At the end, it's got like 12 days for that one stroke. And so far so good, because he can feel the next success, and he's seeing the progress, that mini target that he's got, that one hit, and every time he hits it, he goes, oh, because of this, because of that, I know I could get that next one. And that just that really
it's a great incentive. Yes,
but
it's also because he likes it, right? He's really enjoying it, because sometimes what we were talking about another day was setting targets. We parents might set some targets, especially when our children are younger, but once they start talking and they start replying and they start having their preferences, then it becomes a little bit more complex, right? You need somehow to involve them, and it's nice to see how much they can get involved and passionate about the things. I just would like to say hello to Alexandra, I think, on Instagram.
Hello,
and we have Aishi, Mini Burikong, and then Expert Guide on Instagram. Hello, if you would like to contribute and say a little bit, tell us about where you're connecting from and what you think about raising children with multiple languages. Maybe you grew up with multiple languages or not, and you would like to know more. Just let us know. We're not going to put you on the spot if you don't want to. It's not a problem. Just
Yeah.
to know who we have in the room.
And meanwhile, we gotta thank so much to both of you from
Thank
Maria.
you,
So
Maria.
thank you for your great question.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
keeps us thinking about
This whole thing.
problem, which sounds for those who are not aiming for it. Sometimes it may sound pretty easy. Just
Just
put the
talk.
kid in that environment. They're sponges. They just do it naturally. But, it's a little more complicated than that. There's many things, many layers of complexity to.
Yes, I don't know. Every time that someone says, "Oh, but children are like sponges," and I say, I don't know. It starts to itch somewhere. I don't know how it's with you, but I'm like, no, it's not always like sponges. At least not throughout the whole childhood. Maybe at the beginning it seems like that because children, I mean, babies when they are born up to 1 year, they make so many progress. What they learn, they learn so much within such a short time. But it all has a reason.
But is it a short time? Is it really a short
compared to someone who is maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, yes, it's very short in 1 year. But I mean, if you compare
it really depends on actual exposure or actual, quality exposure, I guess, is a way to put it. Because babies don't talk until they're like, 1 or 2.
But they communicate very early on.
Yes, but they don't talk. So it doesn't seem like they're learning the language. But we can all see that yes, it's going in. But it's over like a year. If an adult sat down and listened to that level of language over a year, chances are the adult would probably do just as well, if not better.
Yes, because you base your knowledge on something that you have learned before. So you start on another step, whereas the child starts with a step that everything is possible. Yeah. So they have to find out what is actually helping me.
Really think about it. It's a daunting task. You really saw just the final product, like I was saying earlier, see the final objective and where you're starting from. It's like, forget it. There's no point. You're never going to get it. But a child doesn't think that way.
And, no, fortunately not.
And just say the next word, do the next thing, find the next toy, and they just build up without ever realizing.
And proceed by trial and error, right? Mm-hmm. Also there. What we often get asked, what should I do? How should I correct my child? And when should I correct my child? Let the children make mistakes. It's thanks to mistakes that we learn the most.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, it's by experience, knowing which one leads to that cookie that we want, or I don't know, that game or that toy that we want. So it's very important to make these mistakes.
Everything we do, like if I have something to, I don't know, I'm cleaning something or I'm cooking something or, I just try to involve my kids. The kid can't do this or can't do that. And
they can.
My response is always, it's kind of the point. It's so that the child can learn. My main purpose is not to shorten the time. My main purpose is not to get like real help. That's really not the point. My purpose is for the child to learn by doing. Oftentimes it actually takes more time because it messes up things, right? Yeah. But that's part of the process, and then they learn and they step up. It's that building block.
Yes, it's building the skills to live in this world. I mean, they need to have these skills.
And kids just naturally do that for languages. Also, they just build word after word, just build that vocabulary without really thinking about grammar or the whole picture, or having to speak this many words by when. They just do it, and they just have fun and enjoy the process.
Yes.
We
I
have
think
Leo Palladino.
education. Leo Palladino. Hello,
Wow.
Leo.
Hello. Welcome to Raising Multilinguals Live, our Tuesday afternoon chat. Tetsu and Ute, just talking about everything and anything that has to do with raising multilingual kids, or even just raising kids. We
Yes,
always talk about this, right?
yes.
Multilingual parenting has much more emphasis on parenting than the multilingual part. It's kind of like,
Very often, yeah.
it's kind of like a sub a side effect kind of the multilingual part.
Yes, it's part of the parenting. Yes.
Yeah, because I call my channel, Raising Global Kids, but the two main parts is multilingual and then it's multi-talented. Because for me, getting them to learn different skills and getting them to learn languages, it's the same pattern. For me, it's the same knowledge is applicable for the most part.
Absolutely, and not only this falling, failing, and getting up and trying again, but also this aspect of, I mean, you can try different sports, right? So you can try different languages. It's not said that if you don't like playing volleyball, you prefer hockey. That's fine. Like you have different preferences with regards to languages. That can also be for us parents a great lesson to learn, that although we might expose them to language yellow, green, and orange, but they prefer language red at some point, or they want to become better in language red instead of orange, that's also fine. Yeah, you don't tell your child, stop playing hockey because I prefer volleyball.
No,
They said, no, if this is what you want to do and where you're good at and where you get, this kind of inspiration to go further and to become better and to have fun, then that it is. So
Definitely. But sometimes I'd like to play the devil's advocate on some of these things, because as Asian, I don't want to be too stereotypical here, but
you had this the other what was it? I think when you talked about your son doing the maths competition, you said it's typical Asian. I said, are you sure? Why? I try to avoid all kind of stereotypical kind of things, but it's funny.
Come from somewhere.
Tell me more. Yeah, it comes.
But now it's a different aspect of being Asian.
Yeah.
It's Asian parents are known to be extremely strict on children, and there's a lot of push on especially academics, but performance overall in whatever, whether it's piano or sports or anything. They would always want to push the kids to be number one. They don't expect them to be number one and everything, but still it's to push, like get them to work hard. And I have that in me, definitely, but I try to counter it by not lowering the bar, but kind of making the bar more self-assigned. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like, yes, I would like him to be number one, but that's not what I tell him to become. But like, I want him to sort of put the bar, but I want him to learn to work hard towards what he wants to become, and that's where I push a lot, at least conceptually.
So what you're saying is you want him to push the bar where he wants to get, or she, as you have also daughters. So
yes,
for all of them, okay. But I think then the emphasis is on the fact you have the chance to push yourself and you can do it. So to reinforce in a positive way this growth mindset, maybe we call it like that for adults, but also for the children, that they don't give up. In the end, it's also that thing, please don't give up. Just because someone says something or something doesn't go like planned or like you expected, doesn't mean that you have to give up. Give it a little bit of time and try again. If you really like it. I mean, sometimes they really don't like the lesson or the sport or whatever it is.
But I always struggle with this balance of pushing, because the children are naturally inclined to take it easy, to like avoid hard work, kind of.
Yeah.
And that's where, how do I push just enough so that it doesn't feel like just pushing. Like I think a lot of kids, Asian kids, would feel like the parents just want them to become number one.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the purpose, not learning to overcome obstacles through hard work.
Mm-hmm.
If you're number two, you get punished because you became number two, and not because you've not worked. Not because you only get 70% or 80% hard work. So, but every child has different potentials, and every child has different interests, and so that's the side where I'm more on. Invest a lot of time to find out where the potential is, where the interests lie, and then within that, find a way to make them learn how to push hard, like to its maximum. Like that's a non-negotiable. Pushing like 100% in life, for me, that's a non-negotiable. But what is negotiable is you don't have to become a doctor. You don't have to become an NHL player. You don't. That's not the point. If you like hockey right now, I'm pushing relatively, not as much as I don't think, but I am pushing a bit, but much less than like my friend who's got 3 kids. His kids started way later than my kids, but in 2 years they like surpassed my kid like by far. But this is like a military guy. He's like on them day in and day out. But we're seeing results, and that's where I'm going at.
Yeah, you see.
But maybe it's short term, maybe it's long term. I don't know. Maybe it's personality. Maybe the kids are more receptive to that kind of parenting.
You see, my parenting style is completely different in these terms. So I practically have put my children in the foreground and seeing where do you feel comfortable with, what is actually where you want to spend more time with, and then support them then. And even if they say no to something, and they don't want to go to a certain lesson anymore, I know several parents have told me, but you have to push them more, you have to insist that they need to learn, that they have to push through, etc. I said, I remember that I was asked to push through several times, and it just made me not like that kind of thing anymore. So at the end, I had an aversion towards certain things only because I had to push through. So I assumed, as a parent of my children, I think maybe they are a little bit like me, or like, yeah.
How do you differentiate? How do you differentiate between I don't like this, therefore I will change to something else, versus I can't get over this hump, therefore I will avoid it? How do you differentiate that in the child?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. It depends very much on the character, on how the child is expressing this. I mean, I never said immediately if they come home, tired and say, I don't want to get there anymore, I'm not going to. It's okay, we finish or we stop. No, you wait. It's one day where they're tired. You ask again the next day, in the next week, and you try to remind them the happy moments, the moments of success, the moments where they really enjoy doing this. And then you see if over time they still say, no, it's enough. It's we had these kind of situations with coaches, or with trainers. It's not what you wear, but the person that is giving you instructions, or with teachers, okay, where I said, I had made the experience myself that I had teachers. I liked the subject, I liked the topic, but the teacher was really pushing us down and really making it hard for us. And there, it's very difficult if you have a person of authority, because adults are authority for our children, that puts you in a position where you just stop liking what you're doing. And then I said, don't let any person, adult, whoever it is, push you down or let you lose your your passion for that matter, for that subject. But it's easily said. I'm not sitting in the class. I'm not staying there for an hour listening to something that puts me down.
But
So
have you had?
finding an alternative where they can continue on that subject or with that activity, but with a person that is more supportive. I think the main problem that I had with different activities and skills that I wanted my children to get was to find the right person to transmit it in a way that aligns with my kind of approach. Where I say, okay, my child is very tired or was sick, please do slowly, because otherwise they will be overwhelmed and they will be sick again for a week, and then they lose another hour or whatever. And so to be a little bit more, yeah, and then you can push better, and then they will push through.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit controversial, as I always.
Yeah, you can. You would say you go even if you have 40-degree fever. No, I don't think so.
I just, told you about my friend who's basically raising the kids like military, like the military. Now, one can say, because the kids are tough. I mean, they are tough. They can take it. At least that's how it seems to me.
Yeah.
Is that because he has given them that tough environment that they become tough, and they go out to the wild, everything is easier, like compared to at home where it's just they're getting pounded on the head every day. So they go out and do whatever they want. It's like being at the gym every day at home, and then they go outside, they're really tough, they're strong. Or is it just like nature? They are by nature tougher kids than,
I don't know. I
so
have.
It's the egg and chicken and the egg.
Yes.
And
and how old are these children?
They're the same age as my kids, like 10, 8, and 6 or 7. I think they have 3 kids. So.
And they enjoy what they're doing.
I don't know.
I always,
from a hockey perspective, just strictly speaking, hockey, they seem to really love it. They love playing hockey. They don't seem to enjoy the practices that the dad is putting on them, but the result is they're at the top level at their age. And I've seen them play. I mean, they are,
Yeah.
I mean, if they're aiming for the NHL, I would say I see it's possible if they continue like this, and if they never, detract, or like you said, one day they develop this hate for hockey. But I don't know. I don't see them like some kids who just love hockey. Like you don't say anything, and they just go out and pick up a stick and they just practice on their own. Okay.
They do that.
These kids, no.
Okay.
A little bit, not like.
Yeah, you see,
obsessively.
And that's a little bit where I observe a little bit the children, not only with the skills but also with language, with everything.
Yeah.
If they don't have this inner drive from themselves to do something, then I step back as a parent. This is my way to do, because I know from my own experience, I was very Tetsu. I was strong at it. So if you no, I was. And if I didn't want to do something, I seriously didn't do it. And I assume that maybe my children are the same, and they have the same right to do so. And I always say, well, it's never too late. I mean, if you don't want to start, I don't know, playing the guitar when you're 8. Yeah, for whatever reason you just don't want to, and you want to start when you're 15, then you start when you're 15. And the time is not over. It's not that we have to fill everything in the first years of life of our children, and then it's done, and they will never be able to fill in the blank.
No,
but what I prefer fostering my children is this knowledge. Whatever I want to do, if I really get into it, I can do it. Yeah. And independently of what mommy says, what daddy says, what the teacher says, I'm going to do this. It's like really And this is where sometimes I'm a bit worried if I see that children are doing everything that the parents are saying. I say, okay, wait until they're 15 and have a look how it's working. It could backfire. It doesn't need to, but it can backfire.
What I love about what you're saying is we're letting them drive. Right?
Yes.
right? And
I have a right to.
yeah, and that's how I think it should be. Now, but what if the children have no interest, or they're just very easygoing, like just very relaxed, and they just don't have a care in the world, and that's very worried parent.
Upsetting.
I'm worried that if you go out into the wild like this, you're just not gonna
But
succeed. You're not gonna, or you're gonna be pushed by life. Like life's gonna
yes,
push you into the corner.
yes.
So that balance. Maria has put in a little comment for us also. I completely sympathize with that feeling. I was your stereotypical Asian kid. She says, I'm not going to force my kid to play the piano.
Yeah,
I'm just forced to play
it's something.
but I want him to work hard and achieve mastery in something. And that's,
Yes.
I think we're fully aligned on that.
Yeah.
But how do you get them to achieve mastery by themselves? How do you make them learn, or how do you make them realize that the thing that you love the most, you're still going to have to work
Put effort.
hard.
Put effort. I
That's
think
non-negotiable.
yes, but I think if you really give the child, or you can somehow put yourself in the shoes of the child. I think children are per nature curious for something. It might not be sports, maybe it's music. If it's not sports or music, it might be, I don't know,
Fully agree. But they're also
finding
lazy
something.
by nature.
Yes, I mean it's occasionally lazy. Yes, lazy if it's about something that they don't want to do. But I think everyone has something that maybe they don't discover it until they are 12. That might be because they need to reach a certain age and a certain maturity, a certain consciousness about what they can do. And others have that when they are 5, others have that when they are 10, and the next ones awaken when they're 20. You never know. But that they know that it requires some more dedication and effort and energy, and also being able to fall down, get up, fall down, get up again. I think somehow we also have this nice role as parents to show them daddy and mommy are a little bit older than you, and they also fall down, they also make mistakes, they also get sad or I don't know, hurt even in sports. Yes, you hurt your knee or something. And then you see even this old person, because for them we are old, we are ancient. I remember the first time that one of my children said, "You're ancient," and I said, "Oh my gosh, please define. I'm not from medieval times."
You fossil, you.
And then you see this ancient person that gets up again and walks. Okay, if she can do it, or he can do it, or they can do it, I might as well, because I'm younger. I have more possibilities. This kind of model character, if you wish. I don't like that very much, because but that helps as well. And I think there are children who seem more lazy, but maybe they have something else. Maybe they are writers. They are, I don't know, I don't want to say that writers are lazy, absolutely not, don't misunderstand me, but they have something that we don't see.
They're in their bubbles.
Yes, they are in their bubbles.
Seems like there's
yeah.
No, I agree. I love what you're saying. And I lost my train of thought. I had something. What was I gonna say? They have their own way of thinking, and we don't know when that they're gonna hit that thing that they're gonna be passionate about. But but there's always that worry that perhaps they'll never hit it. Perhaps they'll never find out what they're passionate about. Like, I love everything. Like, I mean, at the extreme, I can say I'm passionate about everything, but not passionate enough about it to become a professional in it, in whatever I do, right? And so I end up just staying in school and getting more degrees, so that at least I can show a degree and say, hey,
you got something.
Now please hire me, and so that's sort of where I hope my kids will build, at least on top of that. Like, hopefully that they will find something that they're so passionate about that they'll want to just do that and take that to a professional level, whatever whatever it is, then they'll like never have to work in another day in their life. They really, really, really love it. But what are the odds though? What are the odds? Like 99.9% of the people work because we have to, right? How many people who's like really like that? The ones who become a professional hockey player or a professional musician,
Yes, but even then, you don't know if then the hockey player became a hockey player because he likes it or because he was raised like that and he had other choices.
But
Or
can
he,
you? Do you think you can raise a hockey player to become like a professional hockey player without him or like really liking it? Is that possible? I just feel like it's to become a professional athlete, you have to like love it to us, maybe you love it because your dad was a hockey player. That's possible.
Yes.
Whatever the reason, you have to have that love already built in.
Yes, or because it's the only way that your parent likes you or recognizes you, and that we are getting now in a psychological part that is very, I mean, there are relationships between parents and children that are almost, I don't dare to say it, almost abusive in that sense that they say either you become like that or I am not going to talk with you. This is something that can be one of the reasons where some even become professional hockey players or I don't know, swimmers or whatever they do, and realize later on, this is actually not what I want. I was pushed and it's the only thing that I was told that I'm good at. And the other things, maybe they were telling him, you're not good at languages, you're not good at this other thing. And so the only path that they saw told by others what was that one. Whereas I find it's even more, it is a challenge for parents, and it's not easy parenting children because you think it's someone who is maybe more or less like you, and then you have children who are completely different or very different, and you discover parts of yourself, facets of yourself that are completely different from what you expected or what you wanted to become as a parent. But this is actually what I find also very, very interesting and amazing, this journey that you get into self-discovery as a parent. You discover that you can let go, and even if you let go even more and more and more, not become apathic like yourself and just freeze, but at some point you see them becoming independent creatures that do their stuff in an amazing way. And then you say, wow, I didn't do anything. How come they are able to do these things? And I find this amazing. It's like letting go, this Frozen song, right, that everyone hates. You let go. The more you let go, the more you think you lose. But it's
no,
the contrary.
Agree. And I want to come back to what you were saying earlier. What you talked about earlier made me think about how we can be frank and show vulnerability, show our human side as parents, rather than the authority who's always right, who has all the answers. I think we need to break that down, and that's something I think the earlier you break it down and have a very honest and trusting communication with your child, the easier it'll be for you as parent.
Yes.
It has been for me. We talk about this a lot about my one-on-one sessions with my children. Every few weeks I would sit them down and just have a one-on-one discussion on everything and anything. How is it going at school, to what do you want to become later in life, to all of these different street savvy stuff that we want to pass on to our kids. And there it's also a moment for me to reflect on me as a parent. I want them to know they can tell me anything, criticize what we do. I'm open to that. I apologize for certain things that I've done or the way I've made certain decisions. Let them know specifically. That time I got mad for this and that. It was too much. I know you were right for this, but what I wanted you to learn was this. but I'm sorry for this part.
Hmm.
Let them know that I make mistakes, and that I think that makes me human, not just somebody who has all the answers. Because I don't want
We
to
do.
think I have all the answers. That's definitely not the truth. And I go and I make it a point of telling them right now there are certain things I'm going to tell you that could be opposed by people around you. They could say something that's completely the opposite. Doesn't mean I'm right, they're wrong, or they're wrong, they're right, I'm wrong. I just want you to know about these things, and then over time, the answer will come out, and then you can decide what is right for you. Um, and this I want to start early, so that there's still small things that I teach them, but as we go, becomes more and more complex, and then they'll always be alert to these things that people say. People will say all sorts of things, and if you listen to everybody all the time, you're going to waste your time. But if you don't listen to anybody, you're also going to waste your time. So how do you take in the
Yes.
right amount of information and build that into your life in a constructive way? And that's kind of what I'm teaching them now.
Yeah, it's difficult to find to determine or to find out, or also to tell our children whom to listen to and whom to ignore. It can also be friends that they are listening to, and you immediately know, oh my gosh, this is so wrong. But you bite your tongue and say, you need to make your experience yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that sometimes what I find the most difficult thing is when I see what the consequence will be from a situation, and I cannot save them from that, or I cannot. Even if I would say it, they need to make the experience. Because if I say it, it's because my mom said. It's different.
That's right.
Yeah, it's better that they make the experience and that they get the bruises. I hope not too many.
As long as it's not life-threatening.
No, it's
Or
exactly.
life-transforming in a negative way.
As long it's not affecting them deeply, health-wise, psychological and physically, then it's something that they need to do. I mean,
Totally agree. Totally agree.
It's tough. It's tough. We're getting some gray hairs at some point.
But I know that's going to come up.
Hi, Birgit. Oh, I see. There's Birgit. She's a fellow mom at our school. I think both her daughters are already outside of school, I think.
Okay. Hello.
They have finished. Hello.
And shout out to everybody watching on different platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Now, we opened up a little can of worms and took us all the way to almost the top of the hour already.
Yeah, and we were talking about parenting today. Yeah, it's
mostly parenting.
We
got a great question from Maria about whether immersion school is better or au pairs or nannies, live-in nannies, and we gave them that greatest answer that everybody gives. It depends. So we were able to pull out more context, and hopefully, Maria was able to take some stuff back and apply.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure. I learn every time.
Yeah, likewise. Both. We are constantly learning.
So, is it next week? Next week we'll be having a special guest.
Yes.
They're all special. Every time it's a special guest.
Yeah, exactly.
My goodness.
Yes, next week we are going to have Professor Dr. Britta Hufeisen, who is going to talk about. You remember what she's going to talk about? You can have a look at our site and discover what she's going to talk about. Why we need or why multilingualism is good for us.
Cognitive benefits, right?
The cognitive benefits and how to include multilingualism in education. And I think there's a great range of questions that we have put up, and it's going to be very interesting.
Please curious to see how she connects the research side of cognitive benefits, how to integrate that into the practical side, which is educational policies.
Yes, but it's going to be also about, distancing us a little bit from comparing bilinguals or multilinguals from with monolinguals. We're going even a step further and not comparing bilinguals with multilinguals because multilinguals function in a different way. And so any additional language that we learn is not then dependent on the first language that we learned, but maybe on the second or the third or the fourth. So it's very interesting. I find it very intriguing and interesting, and very happy to have discovered this field of research that I'm reading a lot about, and I'm looking forward to that.
So you're telling me it's going to be tough to contain it within an hour again?
Oh yes, yes. We talked about
manage our time.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday, and she said I could talk about this for an hour. I said I know. We're going to make part 1. Part 2, part 3.
Yeah. Just wait. I'm going to throw in a question for you to talk about for 30 minutes.
Oh my. Yes. Okay. I might then say, okay, we are running out of time. We have to just cut. And talking about running out of time, I see that we are almost the hour now.
At the top of the hour. So once again, thank you everybody for coming in and joining us, sitting in your comfortable couch, just to relax and hear us out on our
thank you
talk about everything and anything that has to do with raising kids in multiple languages. Now, next week is a special guest, so we won't be doing this live chat session, but we will be doing it the following week. And every Tuesday, other than third one, we're here.
Yeah. Well, on the, what is it, 21? On the 23rd, I'm not going to be able to be on screen. So there I have a team from Iceland coming here, and I'm going to have giving them a training for 3 days.
All right. So I don't remember if we had scheduled that one or not, but
I don't think so.
But
maybe we can schedule it on a Thursday or so. Let's see.
Okay,
great.
Oh, that's something we had talked about. Okay.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Okay,
Yes.
Bye now.
Bye.